Hello, welcome to the advanced session on integration of Creator with Git. Today we'll be talking about how do we handle the changes from multiple people on working on a single activity diagram, and we'll also be talking about the large-scale deployments and what we suggest. How do we use Git with Creator there? So for the purpose of this demonstration, we assume the audience are already aware of the Git concepts. They are also aware of eGit concepts, that is the Git with Eclipse and how do we handle them. And they have worked with Creator, uh, sharing the confirming project to a Git origin, and the other user has also cloned it. So let's get into the demonstration. So here I have the Git origin um, GitHub URL with repository with a project that I've already pushed into it, and the commit is user to commit 13. So going to this instance. So this instance is going to mimic user one for me. In this, if you see here at the top left in the project explorer, this is user one's screen. So here he has the same commit, user to commit 1360 BC. So let's compare that with the uh, here. So 60 BC. So that is correct. So let's and that is both for the remote tracking as well as for the local tracking. So a quick demonstration walkthrough of the existing state of the model. So this is field 2 within the structure diagram paraback welcome screen, and this is two login buttons actions on the activity diagram. So let's quickly look at the user 2's things as well. So user 2, so he's having the same version of structure diagram and activity diagram. If you see here, it's 60 BC for both local tracking and remote tracking. So user one's workspace, user two's workspace, and the GitHub origin are all in sync. So let's see how these conflicts can arise and how do we handle them. So user one has started to work. He's starting to add um, multiple actions and widgets. So let me call this help, save, and here he has added an action for the same widget that he just added. So I'm saving this. So this is user one's actions, and he has updated. If you can see here, the marker for all the three files, AD, SD, and SL have been updated. So meanwhile, what user two has observed is that, okay, this field should not exist. This is a mistake. So he's deleting it, and he's deleting this one as well. So he's saving both of them, and then he gets these three error messages. This is because the widget has been removed. Some of the actions has to be upgraded as well. So I'm doing a quick fix, selecting all the three, clicking finish. So all the three things are gone. So I'm saving it. So here user two has done the changes of both the structure diagram by deleting this widget here and deleting an extra action in the activity diagram, and has also accepted uh, the invalidation of the widget from the structure diagram. So let's assume he has gone ahead and pushed his changes. Let me call this user to commit 14, and let me say it as commit and push. So yes, so the local branch has got updated 022. The remote branch is also updated, and let's verify the origin quickly. Yes, so it's all updated here. Now on the user one's workspace, so he has already done some changes. So before he's ready to push. But before that, he has to fetch and see if there are any changes from the origin. Yes, there has been a change. If you see here, so the let me refresh this. So the remote tracking's origins version is different from the local tracking. So let's go to the compare view and see what happens there. So I'm comparing my local working directory with the remote branch. So it takes me to the synchronized view perspective. So I'm opening them one by one. So in the structure diagram, so this is the element that has been modified. Now, this entry here, so these two are related. If I'm clicking this is getting highlighted in green, right? So these two are these two are related, and both of them has to be done at the same time. Both of the changes has to be in sync. If I accept one, the other one should also be accepted. If I reject one, the other one should also be rejected. If I do not update both of them in sync, then the change that I want to make doesn't happen. The system will reject the change, and the changes will, the version of the structure diagram or the activity diagram for that matter will remain as is. So in this case, I am looking at the local workspace, and I am ignoring this SD file for now. But let me go to the text compare. So this is about the help text, sorry, help hyperlink. So I'm going into the text compare now. And so this is the piece of code, the change that has happened for the text box, that is a deletion. So I am accepting this change. And then this is for the hyperlink. For the help, I am leaving it. I want to keep my changes on help as is. That is a new change I have done purposefully. And I also observe that the changes that the other user has done by deleting the text box as well as the duplicate action of login button. So those are valid. So I'm trying to accept those changes. So this is one change for one widget. Now the similar, since SD and SL are integrated, we have to do the same change on the SL as well. So here, if you see, so this field 2 has been deleted. This doesn't exist on my left side, so I'm accepting the change. And the next one is about the help, and I want to keep the help as we discussed. So I'm going to keep this entry as is, and I'm going to save these two files together. So let me close these two, and I'm going to save these two files together. The entries here still appear because there is a conflict between the source and the destination, the remote and my local. And right now what we have done is we have gone through those changes and we have kept those changes what we really want. So similarly, let's go to the activity diagram. So this activity diagram is a little more complicated than the structure diagram. In the structure diagram, we found SD file entry is only one with respect to the code as well. But in the activity diagram, every entry will have two entries here on the top pane, and will have two pieces of updates on the bottom page as well. So let's quickly figure that out. So yes, if I select this, then this is also related. So as I said, so both of them has to be in sync. So let me double click this. So this is related to the hyperlink, which doesn't exist on the source. So if I'm double clicking this, it's the same representation, but highlighted in a different way. So if we are using this at the top, the accept buttons, accept change, accept, reject change. So this kind of decision making based on this kind of entries will be difficult. So we can select this. Yes, it makes sense. Then I can accept this. But if the dependent one, what I have to choose? So which is the entry? Right now we are only working with small limited number of entries. So this is on the source, and I have only done one change, one hyper addition of an action, help hyperlink. So if there are multiple entries and if there are multiple decisions to be made, acceptance and rejections across multiple changes that has been done, these two changes have to be in, I mean, the decision taken must be in sync for these two, and the process of implementation of the decision also has to be proper. So what I'm doing here for its instance is, okay, so I have two changes here. Let me also expand from the source here. So this is another action. But if you see here, I have a lot more. What is this for? Okay, let's also go into the code and see what's happening. Text compare. So this is for the hyperlink. If you see here, this QML, this QML ID 179 is same QML ID 179. So that's how I identify that this is for the hyperlink. So I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to skip to the next one. Now this one, this is for the activity diagram invalidation. So this is for this fill form where one of the fields has been invalidated by the acceptance of deletion of uh, the field 2. That's why that entry is also coming into the code here in the comparison engine. So every change from the UI perspective needs to be taken with caution. So for the user, it might be a single change, but for the system, every change is important. So here we are talking about the fill form. The fill form is not even visible to the user, but the field has been invalidated from the structure diagram, and that's why it has to be removed from the activity diagram as well. And that change is represented here with this piece of code. So if you see, I have two changes on the widgets, but if I'm counting this, how many changes exist on these lines of code? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 changes. So it's important that we treat this with care. So for now, what I'm doing is I'm going here and accepting this error messages so that my number of entries on the comparison window are less. Okay, let me remove invalid fields. Let me remove invalid fields. And then there is one more here. Remove invalid fields and saving. So all the three are gone. Let's go back to the team synchronized view. And I'll double click this file again. Okay. So this is one entry. Okay, now let's go back to the lines of code. So this is one I wanted to keep, that is related to the help hyperlink. So this is the deletion of the action. If you see the QML ID, 1F5. So this is the QML ID. So now I understand these two are related. And this is a deletion of an action from the source. And I want to update my local. I want to delete that entry on my local as well. So I'm going to accept this change. So if you see again here, so selection at the middle is also highlighting the last entry in the green. So these two are related. So I have done this change. Let me check what other changes exist. Go next. Okay, this is the representation of the change on the help hyperlink again. So the single help hyperlink has two entries on the code. And as I said, both has to be updated properly. So this I'm going to keep, and I'm going to the next change. And this is related to the action, the click button action. So I'm going to accept this change. Or is there any other difference? Yes, this difference exists, and this is about. Okay, so we are back. We are back. So this is the hyperlink addition. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. So I'm choosing to save all these actions. I'm saving this. The entry here, as I said, will still exist because we have not exactly synchronized them. But now if I go to my modeling perspective and choose to open my structure diagram and activity diagram, so help exists, the field2 does not exist. Similarly, the help link action exists, and the login button duplicate has been removed. So if you see the team synchronized view, this is the Eclipse frameworks availability. So here, multiple entries for a single change. So these are the actions available at the top. But if I want to choose um, based on the individual change, I'll have to double click this option under this icon, not under the SD or the AD icon. This applies for both SDs and ADs. So to view the graphical representation, so this is the node group I have to choose, and these are the way. This is the way I can accept it. But then, yes, so these are the options available for an individual change within the graphics. There are no options available. This is how the Eclipse modeling framework engine works. So this is coming from the Eclipse related Git plugin. So if at all I have to choose, I have to choose from the top, but there I have to be careful on what are the changes that are linked. And if I'm double clicking this, this may not make sense when there are too many changes, or people might get confused. The other way to look at it is code, where I have this option to move the changes from the right to left. So here I'm getting those options again. So this is the way the Eclipse modeling framework works. And every entry, as we discussed, the other important thing to remember is every change has multiple records here, and all the changes must be in sync. If at all, the change has to be effective on the model. Now, one more thing. So within the activity diagram, let's say a user is adding a box, and he's connecting this and is adding an action as well. So for this, there will be one change for the addition of a box. There will be one change for addition of a fill form, and there will be one change if I'm choosing to add data elements. Every field, we just saw how one field impacts the modeling framework comparison engine. So every data element creates an entry, and every uh, action invocation, the connector between the two nodes, this is also a change. So this is how the Eclipse modeling framework identifies the changes. So it needs to be uh, carefully handled. So we suggest not even to get into the conflicts on a per file basis. If there are more than one uh, person working on a project, then we suggest the scope of activities, the scope of modeling updates are divided among the team members, so that every team member uniquely or exclusively works on limited set of files. When I say file, that applies to both AD and SD. When multiple people are working on different sets of files, there are no conflicts, and therefore all this confusion wouldn't arise. So that's the suggestion with respect to the large deployments. On the other hand, the process workflow with Git. So yes, there is a suggestion. The Git allows the possibility of doing the pull request, where if I'm a user and I want to do some changes onto the main, I'll create a branch from the main branch and do my changes and commit my branch along with whatever changes I have done. And the reviewer, and I'll submit a pull request here, and the reviewer can look into the pull request and take his action accordingly, whether he wants to review or send it back or accept the change as is. The other way to do is still acceptable. The way where every release, a branch is created, and all the people work on a single branch. So these kind of process workflows are dependent to your team and your organization, whatever your organizations suggest as standards. So either way it works. So for Eclipse, for Creator, the handling of the changes we just discussed, and that's where the Creator related actions stop. So whatever your standard processes are with respect to the process workflows, that can be used. If you have any questions, please write to support@confirmic.com. Thanks for attending.